So let us move to another example. I'm going to create this one. Sometimes it's good to note that modeling is going to be different. In the previous example, we first started from the outside, from the circle, and then extruded in and created the hole. This way, we are going to start from the inside, creating the detail inside using a rectangle, and gradually continue and create the circle shape on the outside. First off, I need to remind you that I'm going to use the rectangle technique we used earlier, but in combination with the technique we used in the last example. So for this, I add a plane, assign the material, and convert it to editable poly. Now, I want to get an inner inset from our mesh to the inside. Then, again, repeat the operation like this. I will explain why I did the operation again in just a second. For now, I create an edge loop on each side using connect command and add our octagon with n-gon primitive. So why did I repeat my operation? That's because I'm going to actually use the vertices and make our circle shape out of them. Just as you see, I'm moving and matching the vertices and snapping them to our n-gon as a reference. By using this way, I'm not going to be concerned with the base shape of our mesh anymore. So I now scaled down our reference n-gon a little bit more to create the safe loop we talked about in earlier examples and basically start to cut its shape again with the cut tool that we have. And now I just move the vertices and snap them to the place I want. So let me bring the reference. I need the second circle for the outward shape. The thing is that I will later extrude what I have here, and let's start the inner part now. I scaled down our n-gon a little bit again, and later we can adjust these edges. So I'll select the cut tool and make the inner cuts too, just as before. Okay, and now I'm going to put the n-gon aside for now. We do not have actually anything to do with it right now. Then I'm going to use target weld tool and dissolve every extra edges to clear the topology. To make it a little bit better, I decide to scale down our rectangle now a little bit, and to make the whole I bring this edge to the middle and then bring our n-gon back in the center and decrease the radius of it. Just as I said before, you create a bigger n-gon from which you originally want, and then start cutting the vertices according to that and put the n-gon aside after that again. And now the thing you have to do right away that I'm going to do is to connect actually our vertices to the other vertices we have in order to make the edges that we want in order to build our topology using target weld tool. But first, let us create the overall extrusion I talked about earlier. Let me see if I can do it with the shrink command. No, it looks like that I have to do and deselect it manually. So look here. Now we have what we want from the outside, right? And now let us continue working in the inside. I select the faces, take a look in the reference. So the model has an inner extrusion and then an inset. Also this one is also the same. Now I have to first extrude the faces and then press inset inward for a tiny amount and then extrude even further. By the way, let me zoom here. I think there's things wrong here. Now, I manually use target val tool to clean this up. Now, back again, I select the faces, hit extrude, and extrude inwards. The thing we have to do here is to sharpen the edges as before. In edit menu, we select Swift Loop to create edge loops in different places that we want to make some supportive edges. And now notice how different, and better say distorted, the loop on the outer side of our engon looks. This is a sign of a problem right here. You see the difference when I switch from this edge to the other one? It makes things all distorted and all over the place. In here, I actually forgot about the safe loop, and instead of having it up, I extrude it with the other parts to the bottom part. I will show you that. So first, I have to remove the extra edge loops I created, and then bring the mesh up where it was before using the snap tool that we have to reset our operations and start all over again. Then I will get rid of the edge loops that we had on the upper part, and then select the main safe loop. Now, after I selected the loop manually, I have to use the weld command to connect them with the other vertices. So this way we can properly move them and there's no problem anymore. Now, in order to get back to where we actually left our real stuff, we should repeat our process, reposition, and then extrude our mesh down as we did in the past, get an inner inset as we did in the past, and put it where it actually was before. You remember that we originally created that loop actually, just like here, to be preserved as our safe loop. Now I turn on Turbo Smooth, and as you can clearly see, we have indeed created the detail that we want. But a thing here in the reference, if I bring that up, you will see that in the reference, there's less much of a curve than what we have here. It's almost like a circle in our model, but here you see that it's a rectangular shape. So we learned in previous examples how to do this and control our edges. So how can we do this is by selecting the set of edges that we want, just like this, and select connect command. And I'm going to bring the properties up and slide it to the edges like this. So now it's being controlled and limited. And as you see here, I'm going to repeat the same process on the lower part of the edges like this. I select command tool and slide it to this part like this. Now let me adjust the last edge loop a little bit more into the left side, and then bring this edge closer to the corner. And okay, now I select the other half and just repeat the operation, hit connect, and adjust this again to the top part, turn on Turbo Smooth, and as you can now see, we kind of have what we want, but as a matter of fact, now this time it's, being exactly the opposite. It's kind of too sharp, and for this, we can further adjust these edges and pull them to the more center of this mesh that we have. To symmetrize, the thing we can do is to go to the transform menu down in the bottom of the screen and type -5 for the top part and +5 in the bottom part. But now I'm gonna just manually adjust it a little bit more to get more a square shape in the bottom part, and go to the top part, and I think that's okay. Now turn on Turbo Smooth, and this side of our model is more like our reference. And you see this edge, the more you move this edge towards the center of the model, it will allow for more curvature. So now let's focus more on the whole detail that we created earlier. And again, by using Swift Loop command in the edit menu, I'm going to now just add the extra edges and supporting edges to get what I want and preserve the sharpness that we talked about. And now I get an inset from the surface that I have, and just in case for here, I'm going to add another edge loop. What I'm going to do is to basically go for the chamfer effect earlier that we had. And also I'm going to create another edge and then select the middle edges and just control remove them to get this type of geometry. And then I'm going to again select the edges and repeat our chamfer operation to preserve our chamfer effect, as we have done in the past for numerous times now. Now I'm just going to repeat the same process and get the same kind of effect on the previous rectangular part of our model that we worked on. Basically, I'm going to just select the middle edge, but first I'm going to scale this outer edge a little bit. Let us see what is the case here. Let me change the constraint. So I think I kind of have to scale our edges 2 times, one in the Y direction and another one in the X direction to get what we want. And to make more room for the chamfer, I'm going to move this edge loop a little bit down if I can. So now, just like before, I control delete the middle edge loop and apply our chamfer, and you can see how it's showing itself really good, and that's what I like. Now here I'm going to select the inner faces for now, and I'm going to apply an inset for here, just a tiny little bit of inset, and just repeat the whole process that we did for 2 times on these edges that we have right here. You can see the different shading effect right there, and now I'm going to symmetry and symmetrize our hole that we had there. And now if we go back to our reference image, you can see it's pretty much the same, but there's one difference, that on the curvature, our model has like a rectangular full square kind of shape. And if you really want to make it exactly like the reference, it's not that hard. You just only have to delete these extra edge loops that we created to control the curvature. And if you turn on the Turbo Smooth again, now you see that it's exactly like the reference that we had right there. So we started from very simple demonstrations with, just a simple plane. And now we are slowly getting to the real work and trying to solve some problems and topology issues. And I feel that we are finally getting somewhere.